Book of Jasher. Explained. The Book of Jasher is an ancient Hebrew text which offers an expanded, highly detailed epic of human history from the dawn of creation through the founding generations of Israel. Chapter 1. Creation, the Fall, and the First Murder. The narrative opens with the creation of Adam and Eve, who are placed in the Garden of Eden. Enticed by the serpent, they disobey God's command regarding the tree of knowledge, leading to their expulsion from the garden. Outside Eden, Adam and Eve have two sons, Cain and Abel, alongside several daughters. Abel becomes a keeper of sheep while Cain tills the ground. Tensions erupt when both present offerings. Abel's sacrifice of the firstlings of his flock is accepted with fire from heaven, while Cain's offering of crops is rejected. Consumed by jealousy, Cain strikes Abel with the iron point of his plowshare, committing the world's first murder. God curses Cain to be a wanderer, and the ground itself suffers under the weight of human sin, yielding thorns and thistles. Chapter 2. Moral Decay and the Line of Enoch. Following Abel's death, Adam and Eve have another son, Seth. Seth's line attempts to preserve righteousness, but humanity quickly degenerates during the era of his son Enoch. People turn heavily to idolatry, constructing statues out of iron, brass, wood, and stone. Jasher notes that human rebellion becomes so extreme during Enoch's life that God brings an early, localized judgment. The waters of the river Gihon overflow, destroying 1/3 of the inhabited earth. Despite this divine warning, humanity refuses to reform. Chapter 3. The Golden Era of King Enoch. Amid growing corruption, a leader named Enoch arises. Unlike the surrounding culture, Enoch is deeply devout and wise. He assumes the throne over all humanity and reigns for 240 years, establishing an era of peace, law, and righteousness. Eventually, Enoch withdraws from society to commune with God. Jasher describes his departure as a public event. Enoch ascends into heaven in a fiery chariot, pulled by horses of fire before thousands of witnesses, leaving his son Methuselah and his grandson Lamech to guide the people. Chapter 4. Total corruption, Noah and the Great Flood without Enoch's leadership. Human society rapidly collapses back into lawlessness, violence, and advanced idolatry. Recognizing the coming destruction, Noah hesitates for centuries to marry or have children. However, directed by God, Noah marries Naamah, the daughter of Enoch, when he is nearly 500 years old, and fathers 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. For 120 years, Noah and Methuselah preach repentance, while building a massive wooden ark. When Methuselah dies, the final delay ends. Animals gather at the ark, and God shuts Noah's family inside. Torrential rains break loose, flooding the earth for 40 days and nights. Desperate crowds attempt to break into the ark, but they are repelled by wild beasts surrounding the vessel until the rising waters destroy all life on land. After a full year aboard, Noah's family steps out onto a clean world to rebuild. Chapter 5. The Stolen Garments and the Rise of Nimrod. As Noah's descendants multiply, Jasher introduces a pivotal subplot, the original garments of skin that God made for Adam and Eve in Eden. These heirloom garments, which possess supernatural influence and authority, had been preserved on the ark. Ham steals them and passes them down secretly to his grandson Nimrod. Wearing these divine garments, Nimrod gains immense prowess as a hunter and warrior. He unites humanity under his absolute rule, building vast cities and establishing himself as the king of the entire world. Chapter 6. The Tower of Babel and the Birth of Abram. Under King Nimrod's reign, human pride reaches a boiling point. The populace agrees to construct a giant tower in the land of Shinar. intending to build a structure tall enough to reach heaven and wage war against God. God thwarts their ambition by confusing their language into dozens of distinct dialects, forcing the builders to abandon the project and scatter into different nations across the globe. During this era, a child named Abram, later Abraham, is born to Terah, one of Nimrod's chief military commanders. On the night of Abram's birth, Nimrod's astrologers observe a miraculous sign in the night sky, a single star swallowing 4 other stars. Interpreting this as a prophecy that Abram will grow up to overthrow Nimrod's kingdom, the wise men urge the king to execute the infant. Terah tricks the king by substituting a servant's newborn baby in Abram's place, while hiding Abram and his nurse in a subterranean cave for 10 years. Chapter 7. Abram's stand against idolatry. After leaving the cave at age 10, Abram travels to live with his righteous ancestor Noah and his son Shem, studying the ways of God for 39 years. When he turns 50, Abram returns to his father Terah's house. He is appalled to find that his father manufactures and worships household idols. Abram decides to confront his father's idolatry through a dramatic test. 1. He requests savory meat to offer to the idols. 2. When the wooden and stone figures remain silent and motionless, Abram smashes all of them with a hatchet, except for the largest idol. Of 3, he places the hatchet in the hand of the largest idol. 4. When Terah enters and demands to know who destroyed his gods, Abram calmly claims that the largest idol became enraged over the food and chopped the smaller idols to pieces. When Terah angrily shouts that statues have no life or power to do such a thing, Abram turns the logic back on him, exposing the absurdity of worshipping objects made by human hands. Chapter 8. The fiery furnace and the journey to Canaan furious. Terah reports his son to King Nimrod. Nimrod orders Abram thrown into a fiery furnace. Abram's brother, Haran, remains hesitant, deciding he will align with whichever side emerges victorious. When Abram is cast into the fire, God miraculously preserves him, and the flames burn away only his ropes. When Haran is thrown in, his lack of faith offers him no protection, and he perishes immediately. Astonished by Abram's miraculous survival, Nimrod bestows gifts upon him and releases him. However, after dreaming once again that Abram will bring about his downfall, Nimrod plots to assassinate him. Forewarned, Abram escapes with his family and travels south. Guided by God's promise of protection and land, Abram enters the land of Canaan, marking the end of the first major phase of Jasher's narrative arc. Chapter 9. The sojourn in Egypt and Sarai's preservation. Abram, along with his wife Sarai and nephew Lot, settles in the land of Canaan. However, a severe famine soon strikes the region, forcing them to travel south to Egypt in search of food. Fearing that the Egyptians will murder him to take his beautiful wife, Abram asks Sarai to declare that she is his sister. Upon their arrival, Pharaoh's officers spot Sarai and bring her to the royal palace. Jasher records that when Pharaoh attempts to touch her, an angel of God strikes Pharaoh and his court with severe plagues and afflictions. Realizing divine judgment has fallen upon his house, Pharaoh returns Sarai unharmed, bestows lavish gifts, including silver, gold, and cattle, upon Abram, and requests that they leave Egypt. The War of the 9 Kings and Lot's rescue. Returning to Canaan, Abram and Lot grow immensely wealthy in livestock. Their herdsmen begin to quarrel over grazing land, prompting Abram and Lot to peacefully part ways. Lot settles near the rich, prosperous cities of the Jordan Plain near Sodom. Shortly after, a massive regional war breaks out. 4 powerful northern kings, led by Chedorlaomer, conquer 5 southern kings, including the rulers of Sodom and Gomorrah. The northern forces sack Sodom, seizing all its goods and taking Lot captive. Upon hearing of his nephew's capture, Abram arms 318 of his trained household servants. Through a brilliant nighttime ambush, Abram defeats the coalition, rescues Lot, recovers all the stolen plunder, and restores peace to the region. Chapter 11. The Sin of Sodom and the Fire from Heaven. Despite Abram's rescue, the citizens of Sodom and the surrounding cities sink into extreme depravity, greed, and cruelty towards strangers. Jasher details how the Sodomites pass laws forbidding hospitality, even going so far as to torture anyone who offers food to the poor or travelers. In response to their systemic wickedness, God sends angels to evaluate the city and rescue Lot and his family. After Lot's family is led safely outside the city gates, God rains sulfur and fire down upon Sodom, Gomorrah, and the surrounding cities, turning the fertile plain into a desolate waste. Chapter 12. The Birth of Isaac and the Expulsion of Ishmael. In their old age, God fulfills his promise to Abram, now renamed Abraham, and Sarai, renamed Sarah. Sarah gives birth to a son named Isaac, bringing immense joy to the household. As Isaac grows, tensions brew with Ishmael, Abraham's eldest son by Sarah's Egyptian handmaid Hagar. Jasher describes Ishmael mocking Isaac and displaying aggressive behavior during their youth. Distressed by the threat to her son's inheritance, Sarah demands that Hagar and Ishmael be sent away. Though Abraham is grieved, God reassures him that Isaac will carry on the covenant, while Ishmael will also grow to become the father of a great nation. Abraham provides Hagar and Ishmael with supplies and sends them into the wilderness. Chapter 13. The Death of King Nimrod. While Abraham builds a life in Canaan, King Nimrod remains obsessed with his rivalry against Abraham. Esau, the grandson of Abraham and elder son of Isaac, grows up to be a skilled and ruthless hunter. One day, while hunting in the wilderness, Esau ambushes Nimrod and his royal guards. In a ferocious duel, Esau decapitates Nimrod and slays his bodyguards. Esau flees the scene, carrying Nimrod's most prized possession, the miraculous garments of skin originally given to Adam in Eden. Exhausted and terrified of Nimrod's pursuing army, Esau returns home to his brother Jacob and trades his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of red lentil stew. Chapter 14. The Binding of Isaac, the Akedah. The narrative reaches a dramatic climax when God tests Abraham's faith to the absolute limit. God commands Abraham to take his beloved son Isaac to Mount Moriah and offer him as a sacrifice. Jasher offers a unique detail regarding Isaac's age. Isaac is not a small child, but a mature man of 37 years. When Abraham reveals the divine command to him, Isaac willingly submits to God's will, walking side by side with his father up the mountain. Abraham builds an altar, binds Isaac, and raises the knife to execute the command. At that exact moment, an angel calls out from heaven, stopping Abraham and commending his ultimate obedience. A ram caught in a nearby thicket is provided as a replacement sacrifice. Chapter 15. The Passing of Sarah and the Search for Rebekah. Satan, devastated by Abraham's victory of faith on Mount Moriah, travels to Sarah and deceives her by falsely reporting that Isaac has been sacrificed. Overcome by extreme grief, Sarah's heart fails, and she dies at Kiriath Arba, Hebron. Abraham mourns her loss and purchases the cave of Machpelah as a family burial plot. Realizing his own advanced age, Abraham commissions his trusted servant, Eliezer, to travel back to his ancestral homeland in Mesopotamia to find a wife for Isaac, insisting that Isaac must not marry a Canaanite. Guided by divine providence, Eliezer meets Rebekah at a well, where her generosity and kindness mark her as the chosen bride. Rebekah returns with Eliezer to Canaan, where she marries Isaac, bringing comfort to the family and securing the continuation of the covenant line. Epilogue. The Tapestry of Promise and Providence. With the union of Isaac and Rebekah, the primary arc of the first two parts of the Book of Jasher draws to a transcendent close. What began in the quiet innocence of Eden and was nearly shattered by the violence of Cain The corruption of the pre-flood world and the tyrannical ambitions of Nimrod finds its anchor in a single resilient family. Through 15 chapters, the narrative of Jasher constructs a grand contrast between two competing visions of human destiny: the empire of man versus the way of faith. Kings like Nimrod built towering monuments, assembled vast armies, and draped themselves in stolen authority to demand the worship of creation over the Creator. In contrast, figures like Enoch and Abram chose the quiet path of altars, tents, and radical obedience. The transience of might. The narrative systematically demonstrates the fragility of worldly power. The great city of Sodom, the colossal tower of Babel, and the invincible rule of Nimrod all crumbled, while an elderly, wandering nomad was granted a legacy that outlasted empires. The unbroken chain of Providence. From the preservation of the sacred garments to Noah's Ark, from the miraculous rescue in Nimrod's fiery furnace to the supreme test on Mount Moriah, an invisible hand guided human history through its darkest catastrophes. As Sarah rests in the cave of Machpelah, and the ancient rulers of the primeval world fade into history, the stage is set for a new chapter. The mantle of faith passes from Abraham to Isaac, carrying forward a promise meant not just for one family, but for the destiny of nations yet to be born.